Hi guys, Darth Deuce here, back with another video review. Today taking a look at a super cool figure. It is a rare Transformers review for me. It is the Transformers Legacy Armada Universe Commander Class Optimus Prime. This was probably my most anticipated figure of the year out of every line that came out this year that I collect. Um, yeah, Armada Optimus. The original Armada Optimus toy was the very first Optimus Prime figure I ever owned, and this, G1 is before my time. I grew up with Armada. Armada is the first Transformers series that I was ever exposed to, really, outside of maybe a little bit of Beast Wars, but this is the one I watched a lot of. And this is my G1 Optimus, so to speak. This is the Optimus that I grew up with. I knew this design for Optimus before I knew the G1 version. And absolutely love this version. I still have my original figure from almost 2 decades ago now. We'll be doing comparisons with a few other versions. And yeah, I'm just over the moon with this guy. So many figures came out this year that are just figures I never thought would come out, but were like dream releases for me. And this one was right up there. I have for years have wanted them to do a proper new tooled Armada Optimus Prime. There is a third party like masterpiece style one from Fans Hobby, I think, that I came close to buying, but I didn't buy it because it's really expensive. It's like the price of a Hot Toys figure, and this got announced, and I didn't really see a point in getting it anymore. And I'm glad I didn't because I think this one actually looks better. But yeah, let's just get right on into it. This is going to be a long video, probably. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm definitely not a professional at reviewing Transformers. But I just have Optimus here. This is the standard, standard robot mode. It's about the size of a Voyager class. He's got a decent amount of heft to him, though, and obviously he's quite bulky. But yeah, very happy with how he looks. He's super faithful to the animation. I absolutely love the head sculpt, the nice silver paint for the face plate. I think looks really good. The yellow eyes, the gold in the front. And I've always liked how the wings and just the shape of the head kind of looked. Still very Optimus Prime, but different than G1. Just enough to give it its own little flair. And just like the proportions, all the big and bulky. It's got the big shoulders with the wheels. You got the front grille here. Nice silver paint with some gold detailing. Lots of nice paint throughout. You can actually open the chest and actually reveals the Matrix of Leadership. And I like that it's a different style. It's the Armada style Matrix of Leadership, not the G1 style. It is just pegged in there. You can remove it, although, I'll be honest, it's not the easiest to do. It is removable. I just popped it out. It just has a clear little crystal in there. It looks red because the peg is red, and when you put it on, it makes it look red, but it's clear. Unfortunately, he can't hold it. He doesn't have articulated hands in his smaller mode, which is a little bit of a bummer, and it doesn't have any loops or anything, so he can't hold it, but it is nice that you still get it, and it's removable. And another cool little feature is you can open it even further. Let me close this. Open it even further, and you can look to see what's, I would imagine, is a spark chamber. So that's a fun little detail. Definitely something they didn't have to do, but they did anyways, which I think is super cool. And then the rest of the figures looks really good. He's got these the smokestacks here. Rest guns. I always love this design choice with Optimus. His smokestacks being weapons, wrist-mounted weapons. I thought that was always super cool. They do have pegs or 5mm posts, so you can place effect parts on there, which is pretty nice. And then you got the skirt area here. Lots of nice sculpted detail. Decent paint apps going on. The wheels on the sides. All looks very good. He does kind of have the super mode hands kind of just showing on the back of his legs, but unless you're looking at it from the back, it's not really noticeable. And it doesn't bother me too much. There is going to be some compromise with him having to incorporate a super mode, and I think for the most part, he looks pretty clean considering. Yeah, I guess with articulation-wise, he has a ball joint at the head, which gets decent pivot, a little bit of down, a little bit of up, nothing too crazy, rotation. These parts do move up and down, but I think that's more for transformation. The shoulders do move all the way up, and then they rotate. Not my favorite style of engineering for shoulders. Tarn uses this style of articulation. Apparently the new Bumblebee movie, or not Bumblebee movie, Rise of the Beasts studio series, Optimus uses the same style of articulation. It's definitely like articulating. You get a lot of posing out of it. I just find it's not quite as fun to do. But it's not a big deal. It does give a lot of range of motion. Here's a swivel cut at the just above the elbow there. You have basically a double hinged elbow. You can move in really far, and then there is a wrist swivel, although it is a bit difficult to get into because it's quite enclosed there, but you can swivel it. It's not too big of a deal. No swivel waist because of the accommodating the super mode. You can hinge out the skirt pieces though, which is really nice. And then it kicks forward all the way on a ratchet joint. You can kick it up as far back as you want. Pretty much the skirt will go all the way back, and you go far back and get like basically a pretty full spread, which is really nice. A swivel there, nice tight ratchet. It goes 90 degrees at the knee, which will become the elbow in super mode. And the foot doesn't really go up or down too much. There's not a whole lot of movement there, but it does have a lot of pivot, like a crazy amount of pivot. And the toe does actually bend downwards a bit for transformation mainly, but it is something you can do. So he's well articulated. Obviously there are a little bit of hindrances, but it's not too bad. Definitely way better than the original figure. Speaking of which, I will compare him with the original figure right now. So here he is with my childhood Armada Optimus Prime, the original. I don't know what they called the old classes back then, so I don't know what class he was. But there's the original toy. Honestly, look-wise, still holds up decently. It has a lot of nice paint, but you can see that the new one's proportions and the overall way it looks just looks a lot more accurate, a lot better than the old one. Old one is a bit taller though, actually. But yeah, the articulation on this one's really bad. It only has a swivel at the neck. You can only swivel the shoulders. You can't move them out at all. He has a single bend at the elbow. It goes about 90, which isn't actually too bad. But like you can only kick the legs forward. You can barely move them out because the skirt pieces they don't move out of the way at all. He has a rotation and a bend. And then technically, I guess the foot moves up, but it's more for transformation because it starts revealing the super mode's foot. So yeah, not great articulation. There's really not much you can do with this guy articulation wise, which was always my biggest issue with this figure growing up and now obviously. But a figure that they also released, which I didn't get till many years later, they also made Bendy Prime, which is pretty much a deluxe scale Armada Optimus Prime that does not incorporate the super mode, so they put it into articulation, and his is a lot better. He can move outwards, rotation, move his elbows a lot more. He actually has a swivel waist, which even the Commander class doesn't have. Still not amazing articulation at the hips. He actually can't move out as far as this one can. Or I guess technically you can kind of force it, but I wouldn't really recommend doing that. But you can move them out a lot further. Knee bend. He actually doesn't have pivot, but you can move the feet up and down. So he had a lot better articulation, making him a lot funner for like posing around and all that. And also looks pretty good in his own right, but too small because I think this figure is even smaller than the Hot Shot from the same line. So yeah, they don't really scale well together in that regard. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the standard mode. I guess the only other thing accessory wise, not counting the trailer, he does come with his blaster, his rifle. And it's nice enough. It's just cast in a black plastic. I wish there was a little bit of painted detail on this, but it looks good. It's got ports on the side as well as a port on the front, so you can put effect parts in there. And the ports on the side, you can actually remove the smokestacks off of his forearms, and if you want to, you can soup up the gun a little bit, make it look a bit more, give it a bit more firepower, I guess, if you want to do that. And it's kind of cool that you get the option, I guess. And the gun, you can just have him hold it, and it looks pretty good. Aside from that, some other comparisons, just some other characters. Just a few other Armada characters. Here is Hotshot from earlier this year, the deluxe class. I think they scale pretty good. Optimus is sufficiently taller and larger than him. And then here he is with the relatively recent Armada Megatron leader class, who is definitely taller and bigger than Optimus, but not to a huge degree, which I like. I don't like it when Megatron is too big, too much bigger than Optimus. I like them being close-ish. But yeah, this works out pretty good. And yeah, just still also just over the moon that even these two figures exist as well. I have reviewed both Hotshot and Megatron on my channel if you want to check those out. One kind of weird thing that is criticism with all of the Armada figures is for some reason none of them have Minicon ports. I don't know why that is. I think the only figure to have a Minicon port in the line is the first wave of Legacy's Voyager Bulkhead, and he's not even an Armada character, which is really weird. So unfortunately you can't take old Minicons and port them on Optimus here. It doesn't work. And then that segues into, I do wish this figure also came with Sparkplug Commander class price point. This is an expensive figure, and while this figure was 100% worth it for me, it still, would have made the blow a little easier if they included a Minicon. Even if you can't even go on to the robot, just having the little guy companion, I think would have been cool, but, it is what it is. Anyways, next up, I guess we could go and do vehicle mode. So let's do that. I'm going to... The transformation on this guy, it's not too crazy. I'm not going to go like in depth or anything. If you want in-depth videos on how to transform, there are people who do, again, better videos than I do. I can show you that stuff. It is nice that the figure's engineering, transformation-wise, it's not completely the same as the old figure, but it is quite similar. So I think that's kind of nice. Because like this entire arm thing, the arm's kind of folding up to the sides here. And the way that this kind of accordion's in, it's all how the original figure did it. Just a few extra steps to make it a little better. It's been a while since I've transformed this, so even I have to kind of remember how this went. Okay. Jeez, I cannot remember how these feet work. Oh, there we go. I don't know what the hell I was doing wrong before, but yeah, unfortunately in truck mode, his hands just kind of hang out on the back, but that's how it was in the original toy too, so it doesn't really bother me that much, if I'm being honest. And everything just kind of clicks into place. And then I think you can actually just flip these up if you want to do that. Make it a little cleaner. And you have Optimus in his truck mode. It is a pretty easy transformation. But simplicity, I think, works here. It homages the original engineering nicely. It does make the back quite long, I guess. Oh, I forgot to do a step. You gotta flip around the wheels. It does make the back kind of long, and obviously the hands just hanging out it's kind of unsightly. But that's how it was on the original toy. And it's not a big deal because you get the trailer, of course. The whole trailer, there's a lot going on with this trailer, but it looks really nice. It looks quite accurate to the original toy and looks a lot cleaner, actually. I love the Autobot logo there. It looks good. The gray. I like how it's like a bulked, more like heavy-duty version of the old trailer. Still got like the grays and the blues and the Autobot logos back here. And there's some weird gunk on here I didn't even notice was on there. It's kind of weird. I'll clean that later. But yeah, it's got these little kickstand thingies, so you can just have it kind of standing there. Got some missiles. The rifle you can port on the top here. I think you can also put it in here if you want. If you, I don't know if I'm gonna do it right now, but you can actually peg it inside the trailer, so it looks a bit more good. I guess it's a bit more hidden in there. So that's nice. But you can flip these up, of course. And then there's just this hole here. No, I think I'm missing something. Why is that? Now I have clearance to plug in. As you can see, I really prepared for this video. What the hell? Pretty sure this is transformed correctly. Okay, I'm actually a dummy. You're actually supposed to keep the feet, the hands folded in. So it actually improves on the original figure. You keep them folded in. They're still in view because they're just right there, but they don't actually hang out the back anymore. I don't know why I didn't think you kept them folded in. I got the old figure on the brain, I guess. But when you do that, you can. There is like barely any clearance, and you can't like rotate too much because there's too much junk going on. But it does sit in the hole there, and then you get the whole truck with the trailer going on, which I think looks really good. And unfortunately, not too much else to talk about. The original figure had a bunch of play features. This one does not. It omits a lot of that. I mean, it doesn't have a minicon to activate them anyways. But bringing in the original figure, like I said, his transformation's similar. Yeah, you can see the original figure actually has the matrix, but it's a sculpted, molded detail. It's not a removable accessory. But he has a similar transformation where the things fold up and the arms plug in on the sides here. Fold that up. Plug these in. And his legs actually collapse a bit. But yeah, you have the hands that kind of just hang out the back. But there you have him in truck mode. He is supposed to have smokestacks, unfortunately. I've lost one of them. I do have the other one. Instead of having just the normal smokestacks, the old figure actually had these two clear like halves of smokestacks that they plugged on here, and then you could take them off and then combine them into like this little double-barreled handgun. Cool little feature, but you know, the issue is I lost one. And I find when you're looking for these figures online, these are some of the most commonly lost pieces, so that's a little unfortunate. There's the truck mode, and then I do have the trailer right here. Boom, and there you go. As you can see, the old one is definitely a bit bigger. It's got a bit more bulk to it. It's a bit longer. The truck cab is bigger, but the truck trailer is a bit uglier. It doesn't connect and compress quite as nicely. It's a bit more weird looking, I guess. But it also does have more play features. A bunch of ports everywhere. I think it might have had some sounds. You could open up these side hatches and store minicons in there, that sort of thing. And then lastly, the Bendy Prime, I believe, transforms in a super similar way as well. I just popped off his arm. There we go. He transforms in a very similar way. Try to do this without popping off the other arm. It's been a while since I transformed this one, actually. And there's the deluxe transformed, which I think also looks pretty good, but it's definitely, I would say, the weakest looking out of the bunch. It's also the smallest. He's very small. But yeah, there's that. So that is truck mode. I guess we start talking about the trailer for each of them, because the trailers do stuff and transform and whatnot. So the trailer is a base mode. I have to try to remember how to do it for the new one, because it's been a while, and I've only done it once, because I'll be honest, the trailer is definitely the least interesting out of the modes. So I apologize, I did have to transform it on camera. I had to go look up a reference image because I could not remember for the life of me how to transform this thing into the base mode. Although it is ultimately pretty simple, basically just folds up out and you lay it down, and that's pretty much it. There are ports around, so you can plug in the gun if you want to. It has like this little turret, I guess. That's kind of cool. But yeah, nothing too special about this. Definitely kind of an afterthought, but that's okay, because this is definitely, out of all of the things you can do with this figure, the base mode is the thing I was least worried about. I don't need a base mode. It's not so bad. It's a bit more fun on the old figure because of all the gimmicks, but here it's just like, yeah, it exists. It's something you can do, but you know, why. Why would you? I can't see anyone wanting to display it like this, but you know, who knows? Maybe someone does. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not really much else you can do. You have like Optimus or something manning the turret, I suppose. But just moving it onto the back, I'm gonna take a look at the old one. So mine doesn't work anymore, but this used to have kind of an auto transform gimmick where you could it would kind of fold out automatically. I don't have that anymore. Mine doesn't work. But you just unplug them. These are really dusty. I haven't cleaned this figure in a while. I apologize. But it just flips out. And then you flip it down. And then it just flips out. Again, there's some of this is really dusty, so I apologize. But it kind of just, yeah, kind of just lays out like this. And even though it's a lot simpler, it is actually kind of a bit cooler because you have like this spot here, which I think activated some sounds. You had these little opening compartments, and then you could like launch mini-cons out of them. Over here, you could actually have a little gun turret flip out. And if you take spark plug or any mini-con over here, you could actually deploy this gun. It doesn't really pop out like it used to. You'd have this turret and it could rotate around. That was cool. I had this very cool little translucent plastic bit that is a little like map or something, and then it used to light up. It doesn't do it anymore, but it used to light up. And then up top here, you had like this little, you like spring load it out, I guess, if you want to, and it's this little like missile turret that you could seat mini-cons at or whatever. This whole platform thing's a little janky, but yeah, you could do that. This had ports where you could plug in the old gun, which I do have. This is the old one. It had little translucent bits on it. Like you could port the gun in the middle if you wanted to. You know, stuff you could do. And then there's this other port here for like lights and sounds. And you have a little like runway for mini-cons. This one was just a lot funner. I will say this one does the base mode a lot better, but it omits a ton of articulation and limits the super mode greatly. So, you know, give and take kind of thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the base mode. So finally, the main attraction is turning it into super mode. So I'm gonna attempt to do this myself, but I may fail spectacularly and have to do this off camera. Oops. Dun, 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 dun. Getting into super mode's pretty easy. Oh, there's one detail I forgot to do. Let's do. Gotta flip out these little kickstand thingies. Go. I gotta do that on this side too. These can be a little bit finicky to like wiggle out, but it's not too bad. Come on. Put these panels down. This is a skirt piece, can go down. This goes down. I'm gonna flip these up, but they might supposed to be flipped down. I can't remember. This back piece is the most curious. I cannot remember how this particularly goes. Flip that up. How does this work? And you can't just peg this whole missile piece off. It's something you can do. Just heads up on that. This back piece always gets me for some reason, but it just plugs in like this. And then you pretty much, I believe, pretty much have the legs. Oh, you need to flip this piece out. And then you pretty much have the legs done for the most part. This will fold back up, but we'll do that in a little bit. Now we gotta take the Optimus figure though. He's got to do the things. So take this. Unplug these. I think you need to hinge these out. I could be wrong though. We'll find out. Do the thing I did before with the hands. This time you actually want them flipped out, of course. And then you can actually take the feet and flip them back around so they don't look as ugly and it fills in the gap, which is nice. I'm just gonna move the arms out of the way for now. These flip completely out. And then they hinge out, turn around, and you have the arms. I would also flip these back around and make sure the spots that were the skirt pieces are flipped back in. Realign that stuff. Pretty easy. And then you can flip these arm bits, and then they actually do tab in pretty securely. And fold that down. And then the head is right here. Just flips up like so. Flip out the wing thingies on his head. Go here. Just a sec here. Oh, you actually want to completely fold that out of the way. And just sorry, just like I think you actually do want to fold these bits back in. That will do that. Push that in. Actually, one thing what you want to do before you do this, I keep forgetting, is that in this back piece here, you can't see. This back piece here, you actually can slot this bit into here. It can be a little tricky. Make sure everything's tabbed in right, but it will slot in like so. And you make sure the head is flipped out. You take this piece and you actually tab that in to lock it into the back, and then you go it in, clip it in, and then there you have the new Legacy Super Mode Optimus Prime all set up. And yeah, he looks absolutely magnificent. Definitely the most impressive part of this figure, the Super Mode, and it is such an improvement over the old figure. It looks great, and it has articulation. You know, the biggest thing with that old figure, just like its small mode, the articulation was ass. The entire lower bit was a brick. It had literal no articulation. You could basically only rotate the head and move the arms a bit. So it made it kind of lame. But here you get tons of movement. You got a ball joint at the neck. You move the arms every which way with nice ratchets. The elbows move. The hands do open and close at the fingers, not individually, just all at the same time. One thing I will say though is I wish that he did have the system that the Commander class Jetfire had, where when you open the hands, the little circle folded in. Here it just stays there. It's for holding the gun. Not a big deal, but it would have been nice if it had that functionality. He actually does have a waist swivel, which is pretty crazy. The waist armor or whatever all gets out of the way. He has legs that fully kick out. They fully spread, cut there. A nice ratchet knee bend that goes full 90, and a really good pivot. You can get this super mode in some really great poses. You can hold the gun, of course. That's just an example, but yeah, he poses really, really, really well. And it's super solid. I don't feel like the torso is ever going to fall off. Again, another issue with his old figures, the connection's really dubious. Like, it'll come off super easy. This one, nah, man, it's super solid. That's not coming off. So they engineered that really well. just straighten him back out here for comparisons here in a minute. But yeah, I guess you could complain that he technically has some kibble. He's got kind of a back cert going on, but it's way better. They know this compromise is way better than the old figure. It's hard to get this achieved without having some sort of kibble. I think this is okay. But yeah, it looks great. I love that the little flaps here that make the heels actually have these little sculpted thrusters. I think that's super cool. He does have ports at the bottom of his feet as well. Yeah, it is absolutely incredible looking. He's quite big. I didn't grab another commander class to compare, but here he is with the leader class of Megatron, and you can see he towers over him. So he is pretty big. Definitely bigger than current day leaders. He's slightly bigger than old style leaders like Six Shot, Overlord. He's a little taller than them. I think Jetfire is a little bigger than this guy, but not by much. But now I will quickly do the old figure. His is real easy. All you do is like just do the inverse folding instead of going into the trailer. You just fold it the other way. This thing here does like this spring load out a lot, but just does that. You already have the legs. It's literally that easy. And then the robo mode again has actually similar engineering to the old figure, a bit less step, or the new figure, sorry, a bit less steps, but like so. And then you can, when you see a cool little feature where you plug him in, his head will spring load out. You didn't see it because it was off camera, I apologize, but his head will spring load out. And then flip it out. And there you go. And you can see them stacking up together. The new one's only a little smaller. I was really wondering, because the old one's pretty big, I was wondering how the new one would size up. He is not much smaller, so that's nice to see. I will say that the old one had red eyes, which was accurate to the show, and the new one actually has yellow eyes in super mode, which is not accurate to the show. I am kind of tempted to go in there with some red and kind of color those up red. I might do that. I haven't decided yet, but I do kind of wish they would have made them red. I don't know why they made them yellow, but it's not a big deal. But yeah, the old one, like I said, a brick, basically all you can do is move the arms a little bit, not much else you can do. He did have some gimmicks though, like you can put the rifle in his hand and it's clear plastic because he actually has a button here and it will light up. The light actually does still work, but you can't see it because the light is super weak. Even when this figure was a lot newer, it was still super weak. But you could do other stuff, like you'd still have the guns in base mode. You'd still have them out in super mode if you wanted to. You can do a similar thing with the new one where you can flip these out if you want and have them be guns if you wanted to. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, not too much else to say, I guess. One thing I forgot to mention is this Autobot logo on his chest and on top of the cab in truck mode. You can actually take it off and you can plug it on different spots on the figure. It's kind of a cool feature. I don't know exactly why they did that, but you know, another little gimmick you can do. But yeah, I guess the only other thing I can talk about, and I've already run this video very long, so I apologize. Just getting this Optimus out of the way here, is that you can actually use the old Armada overload with the new figure. Imagine that. They made compatibility with a 20-year-old figure for a new figure. Pretty crazy. But Armada Overload I do actually have. He combined with Optimus, the old Optimus, to give him these two huge shoulder guns. You can actually do that with this figure as well. I don't know if they ever intend to make an Armada Overload. I feel like they won't. But you never know, I guess. I think you have to flip these legs over, but the little tab here, there's actually the slot back here. There's nothing else that comes with the figure that, as far as I know, that there's a use for that. But this tab here, it actually fits perfectly onto Optimus. And then it's not perfect because these little thingies don't give you, you don't have any clearance. You don't clear the shoulders. But yeah, you can actually, it's a bit precarious. Standing straight, he just barely stands. He wants to fall over backwards so badly. And like I said, they can't clear his shoulders because of those pieces. You can probably rotate the arm. Yeah, Yeah, you could probably rotate the arms to fix that. Have them sit more flush. Let me try it real quick. If I rotate them, no, they won't. Yeah, okay, no, I don't think you can. I don't think you can really do it. You can't get them sitting fully flush. But yeah, I don't know, man. The fact that you can do this at all is really impressive. And it stays on like relatively securely. Like it is super back heavy. If you really want to display him like this, you'd have to get him in a pose where he's leaning forward, because he's gonna topple. But yeah, it's absolutely insane. He's got that built into him. I assume that was an intended feature, or because that's not too much. I feel like it's way too much of a coincidence. But very cool that you can do that. Never would have expected to have compatibility with a figure that old. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. This has been a really long video. I apologize. There's a lot to talk about with this figure, a lot going on. Overall, I think this is an absolutely amazing figure. I would not be surprised if this is my favorite Transformer of the year. I would not be surprised if this is my favorite figure of the year. I absolutely love it. It's pretty much everything I wanted from a new Armada Optimus Prime figure. I think it's definitely my favorite Commander class. Jetfire has held that title for a while, but I think this one takes the cake. It is such an awesome figure. If you're an Armada fan, this is 100% must buy. You got to get it. It's just so good. It's everything you would have wanted back when the original figure came out. Fixes pretty much all the issues. And even if you're not a huge Armada fan, I would still recommend picking it up. If you like cool, different Optimus Primes, this one's just too cool of a figure to pass up. You got to get it, and I highly recommend it. Anyways, thank guys for watching. If you watched through the entire video, I commend you and thank you very much for watching me ramble and fumble around with messing with this guy. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video.